Hello, my motor enthusiasts. You're tuned in to F1 Motor Fever podcast.
Hiya, Enzo Watts. Have you heard about the rumors swirling around Lewis Hamilton?
Aye, the rumor mill is running at full throttle about Hamilton's possible switch to Ferrari in 2025.
Blimey, it's a big shakeup. But what about the performance of Sergio Perez in the Japanese Grand Prix?
Perez really turned up the heat, showing strong qualifying pace. Horner from Red Bull had high praises for him.
Interesting. But Mercedes seems to be struggling a bit, aren't they?
They've had a bit of a rough patch. Toto Wolff's insistence that track temperature and car performance aren't to blame has raised quite a few eyebrows.
Yet, amidst all this, Ferrari remains hopeful?
Yes, Carlos Sainz seems optimistic about challenging Red Bull consistently. After all, he bagged a victory in Australia last month.
And what about this new F1 sprint format at the Chinese Grand Prix?
The jury's still out on that one. Verstappen did express his doubts, but only time will tell.
Blimey, it sounds like we've got a lot to delve into.
Hello everyone, if you haven't already guessed, this is your host, Enzo Watts.
And you're joined by me, William.
We're here every day, same time, same channel, on F1 Motor Fever podcast. Make sure you subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Let's go full throttle. So folks, let's dive right into the juicy bits. Ferrari team principal Frédéric Vasseur dodged a question about Lewis Hamilton at the Japanese Grand Prix press conference.
Go on, what was the question about?
It was about the headline of the year, Hamilton's decision to leave Mercedes at the end of this season and join Ferrari in 2025.
Blimey, the anticipation is palpable. But what about Sergio Perez's performance? I heard Christian Horner was rather pleased.
Quite rightly so. Perez showed incredible pace at the Japanese Grand Prix. Horner was all praises for him.
Could you give an example of his notable performances?
Perez's qualifying pace was remarkable in Suzuka. He's effectively asserted his standing within the Red Bull team with his strong start to the season.
That's commendable. But the Mercedes seem to be having a tough time, aren't they?
Indeed, they've had a rocky start this season. Toto Wolff insists track temperature isn't to blame for the W15's underperformance at the Japanese Grand Prix.
And what's the word from Ferrari's camp?
Carlos Sainz is upbeat about Ferrari's odds against Red Bull. He believes the team might consistently challenge Red Bull post the first third of the season.
That's optimistic. But what about Perez's future in Red Bull? Horner wasn't too pleased with him in 2023, was he?
You've hit the nail on the head there. Horner expects Perez to perform closer to Verstappen, finish second or at worst third, and step up to claim victory if a mechanical issue arises.
Interesting. And what's this? I hear about a sprint race at the Chinese Grand Prix.
There's quite a debate around that. Max Verstappen has expressed his doubts about Formula One's decision to introduce the sprint format at the Chinese Grand Prix. Now there's a significant change on the F1 horizon we should discuss.
Do tell.
The sport is reintroducing an alternative schedule in Shanghai, marking the return of the sport to China for the first time in 5 years.
That's big news indeed. But what's the alternative schedule you're talking about?
It's the F1 sprint race format. It's set to make its debut in China later this month.
This is the race format Verstappen was questioning, isn't it?
Indeed, Verstappen has voiced his doubts, implying it might not be the smartest move.
It's certainly a shake-up. I'm intrigued to see how it plays out.
As are we all. The entire F1 community is waiting with bated breath to see how this change will affect the dynamics on the racetrack.
Quite a suspenseful note to end the discussion on.
William, fancy a quick trip down the social media rabbit hole?
Oh ho, always ready for that. Let's see what the armchair experts are saying. So here's the main post from a user named Moctecus. Quote, F1's 2026 active aero plan, set for change after alarming simulator findings, unquote.
Go on, what are the comments like?
There's a detailed reply from the same user, Moctecus. Quote, with the active rear wing in its lowest drag setting, the shift in aero balance was so massive that cars were unable to take even the smallest curves. They will now have to make both the front and rear wings active. unquote.
Fascinating. Do go on.
TW Vasseur responded to that, quote, "I didn't know they wanted to make only the rear wing active, and not the front wing as well. I am actually astonished they did not foresee this possibility of the aero balance shifting too much if you only manipulate one wing and not the other as well," unquote.
There's some good insight there.
Then there's a comment from Syntax OW who highlighted that, quote, "One path being explored was for only the rear wing to be movable, as it could then work easily in conjunction with DRS and would be the least complicated solution," unquote.
Makes sense, but weren't there any witty comments? You know, the ones that spice up these discussions.
Oh yes, Nevatron certainly provided some humour. Quote, "FIA need to find a way to stop Newey designing and aero-testing the 26 Red Bull entirely in his brain this year," unquote.
Ha, that's good. A bit of levity never goes amiss.
And Arctic biologist added to the jest, quote, "They tried a couple years ago when he went on a cycling holiday," unquote.
Well, those are some interesting insights from the fans. It's always good to get their perspective, don't you reckon?
Absolutely. It's always interesting to tap into the pulse of the fan base. They bring a different perspective to the table.
That's a wrap for today's episode of F1 Motor Fever podcast. We've had a fantastic time discussing the return of Formula One to China and the introduction of the new F1 Sprint race format. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey with us.
And don't just sit there, folks. Weigh in with your thoughts. Drop us a comment, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's episode, and of course, hit that subscribe button and the bell to make sure you don't miss out on any future discussions.
Yes, it's your engagement that fuels our passion. And remember, we're always eager to bring you the most detailed analysis and insightful discussions on your favorite sport. So grab your mates, share our podcast, and let's get everyone in on this.
Absolutely. And don't forget, we're here every day, serving up the freshest takes on the hottest topics in Formula One. Stay tuned for a special feature coming up soon that you won't want to miss. It's going to be a proper cracker.
Once again, thanks for joining us today. We can't wait to dive into more engrossing Formula One discussions in our next episode. Until then, Enzo Watts and William Turner. Pedal to the metal, keep your gaze on the road. Our channel's content is pure gold.